Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Nacho Problems, where we turn ordinary recipes into extraordinary nachos. I'm Nacho Queen, but you can call me M. After a quick tour of only a few of the many fascinating African cuisines, we're back to the US for a week. But don't despair, Margarita is here and she's brought us a whole new crew of assistants and taste testers. And this week, we're making Bananas Foster nachos. Bananas Foster is a dessert of bananas in a rich caramel sauce that originates from New Orleans. Rum or liqueur is typically added to the sauce, which is then flambéed. So stick around, because we're going to set these nachos on fire. Let's get started. Step 1, the chips. Bananas Foster is typically served over ice cream, so that raised the question of what should we use for chips? Well, for that, I've decided to turn to another classic New Orleans treat, the beignet. Beignets are a deep-fried French pastry, similar to a donut, that are very popular in New Orleans. Now, I'm going to be using an actual beignet mix from Café du Monde, but if you can't get this, I'm sure there are plenty of recipes on the internet. I've got a household to feed, so I'll be using 4 cups of mix and 14 ounces of water. Start by adding the mix and water to a bowl and stir well. This episode was shot several weeks ago, so this might be the last appearance of my beloved green bowl. But don't despair, I have a lovely new set coming soon. We're just going to keep mixing this until it starts to come together. Switch to your hands when it gets too hard to stir. Once you've got a good dough, sprinkle either some flour or more of the mix down on the counter. Then, have your lovely assistant Denise roll it out while you and her little brother nephew heckle her from behind the camera. Roll the dough to about 1/8 of an inch thick. Now, you can cut your dough into any shape you want, but I decided on triangles. We'll leave Denise to keep cutting these out while I start frying. We've preheated frying atoms here to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to fry these 6 to 8 at a time for about 3 minutes, flipping halfway through. Then remove them to your paper towel-lined baking sheet. If you are making typical beignets, at this point you'd roll them in powdered sugar, but I don't think we're going to need any additional sweetness to this dish, so we'll set these aside and move on to Step 2, the cheese. Our cheese will be the Bananas Foster, and for that we need 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter, 2 cups brown sugar, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 4 bananas sliced, and 1/2 cup of dark rum. Now, I know this isn't rum, but we filmed this the day after Jimmy Buffett died, and so between margaritas and pina coladas in his honor, there wasn't a drop of tequila or rum left in the house. But Denise and nephew's older brother, who you'll meet later, brought this, and I thought it made a decent substitute. We also added some walnuts for crunch. Start by combining the butter, sugar, and cinnamon in a pan and cook over low heat, stirring constantly for 5 to 6 minutes or until the butter is melted and the sugar is completely dissolved. Next, stir in the rum or alcohol of your choice. If you have a gas stove, you may want to do this with the burner off just to be safe, and you can turn it back on once you've got it well incorporated. Keep a lid to the pan close by so that you can cover it should the alcohol ignite. Let it cook down for about 2 to 3 minutes and then add in your bananas. Do this gently as you don't want to splash any of the caramel on you. It's very hot and sticky. Bad combination. Let it cook for another few minutes until the bananas soften. Then just sprinkle in the walnuts, stir to coat, and that's our cheese. We only need one more thing, and that's Step 3, the toppings. Bananas Foster is usually served over ice cream, but you know me, I like to turn things upside down. So we'll be topping our nachos with some ice cream. And now for the part we've all been waiting for. Step 4, let's eat. We'll start with a large helping of beignets, since this will be a shared plate. Add a good heaping drizzle of our sauce, a couple of little dollops of ice cream, and finally we're going to pour on a bit more of the bourbon. Cut the lights and light her up. Please allow me to introduce this week's taste testers, my nephews, Chicky Nugs and Sloppy Joe. Let's see if this dish meets with their approval. And they're off. Nugs grabs the first bite, but wait, Joe goes in with 2 hands, and Nugs is back for more. Meanwhile, off camera, Jimmy Buffett is having a religious epiphany, and me and Margarita are eating straight out of the pan. Hands down, my favorite recipe to date, guys. So good, I might even forgive cameraman for some of the shots being out of focus and missing a couple of the stills. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a like and please consider subscribing if you want to see more Nacho videos. If you have an idea for a future video, you can leave a comment below, or I may still be on the site previously known as Twitter. I'm at NachoProblemsYT. I've also linked my Blue Sky below, but you won't find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. If you're looking to steal my apron, well, that's Nacho merch, but you can get your own at a link in the description. Now, after feeding young son, old son, the nephew, Chicky Nugs, and Sloppy Joe for a long weekend, my pantry is looking as low as my subscriber count. But one of those is Nacho Problem. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.